Before we begin, I'd just like to say thank you for watching my videos. If you are new to the channel, please consider becoming a patron. Just click the link in the video description below to be taken to my Patreon page. It's a great way to help support my channel and gain access to exclusive behind-the-scenes content and uncensored videos. Now, please relax and enjoy the creepy stories. Okay, so this happened maybe a year and a half ago. It was kind of warm outside, so I assume it must have been early summer or late spring. I was home alone while my parents and sister were at work. I was watching a movie in my room. When it was over, I closed my laptop and I remember having this really strange feeling like I was alone. And I don't mean alone just in my house. I mean like alone. So I walked out of my room and into the kitchen. And I noticed that our cats were nowhere in sight, which was strange because we have 4 cats and they are always walking around and very social. I also remember looking out our front window and everything being so still. There was absolutely no movement anywhere. There were no people or cars in sight. This just added to my strange feeling. Everything was oddly quiet and lifeless. It was such a weird feeling. I decided to step outside on the back deck to get some fresh air. And I'm not kidding when I say, the second I stepped outside, I felt this huge relief. It was like a weight was lifted off of me, and the feeling just went away. And suddenly there were cars again, and I saw someone in their yard with their dog. And when I went back inside, my cats were walking around again. I don't know if this was just a freaky coincidence or if something bigger was going on, but all I know is that it felt like I was the only person in the world at the time. It was one of the strangest feelings I've ever had. It almost felt like it was a sort of backrooms experience, if you know what the backrooms are. Now, I personally don't believe in the backrooms theory. I do really like the fandom behind it, and I think it's a really cool concept, but I don't believe it's real. So, I'm not really sure what happened that day. I wish I would have checked my phone during that time to see if anything was strange about that too. Anyway, whether it was just a crazy coincidence or not, it was a really strange experience. So, I'm a person who loves horror stories and movies, and although I do get really frightened, I still watch them. I basically put up an act in front of others to look like I'm brave, but in reality I'm not. This happened recently, around the start of December. I live in a house in London, and I'm the oldest of my siblings. It was around 7 p.m., and my siblings and parents were all downstairs in the kitchen. I was upstairs in my bedroom with the door open doing crochet. Nobody was on the upstairs floor besides myself. So, directly opposite my room is the bathroom, and I can see who enters or who leaves. Keep in mind that the door handle of this bathroom is quite stiff, so it makes a loud noise and you have to push down on it. I remember I was humming a song whilst crocheting. The lights were turned off in the bathroom, and then I heard a faint noise. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw the bathroom door slowly open. It was about a quarter of the way open when it made a noise and then came to a stop. I physically froze, then realized what was happening. I didn't check to see if there was anyone or anything inside. I just ran downstairs, screaming and shouting that there was someone in the bathroom. My dad came running up the stairs with a pan, along with the rest of my family, to see if anyone was in there. When my dad got to the bathroom, the door was still partially open. He pushed it open the rest of the way to see that nothing was there. Everything was in place. I was freaked out, frightened, and laughing all at the same time. I kept thinking about what happened, and right as he said that nothing was there, I could have sworn that I saw something out of the corner of my eye. But I couldn't tell for sure because the lights in the bathroom were off. Nothing like that ever happened again, but whenever my parents are not home, I feel something and start freaking out. But now, I don't show it. I just shut the bedroom door. One of my favorite famous people was Eric Weiss, aka Harry Houdini. He and his wife toured America in the early 1900s to attract fortune tellers, mind readers, and mediums, basically just to call them out as charlatans. Their love for each other was strong, and before his passing, they both promised to each other, if there was any way to, after death, they would reach out and message each other. For years, Bess never gave up hope, trying to call Houdini every year on his birthday. It was that kind of love that my great-aunt and uncle had for each other and for their family. It was around 2012, summer vacation. My two sisters and I would stay up all night with Mom, waiting for Dad to come home from work. Usually we had a puzzle or some kind of board game and a TV show on. On this particular night, we had a game of Scrabble on the table. The air outside was still and warm. In the living room, 20 feet away, we had a pile of stuff cleaned out from the truck. During an intense turn, we suddenly heard a soft, crackling, hissing noise coming from somewhere in the otherwise quiet house. It was very faint. My sisters took a minute to pinpoint the sound. It was coming from the pile of stuff from the truck. Specifically, our headphones that were being Bluetoothed to a nearby DVD player. Probably hissing because it had no signal. But why would they turn on now? We wondered to ourselves. How could the red light even flash? Last we checked, the batteries were dead and corroded. Weird, but weird things happen. As soon as the headphones turned off for the last time, Mom's phone rang, startling us all. It was my Nana calling to tell us that our great-aunt, Nana's sister, had passed away just moments before. My great-aunt promised Nana that she would send her a signal when she passed to let her know that everything will be okay. Nana later got a Ouija board to try and contact her sister and to tell her she got her message, but she never got a reply. Nana found her piece 2 years later in her sleep, and we inherited the Ouija board, among other things. Although Nana never contacted us, I'll write more about what did happen next time. When I was a kid, we moved around a lot. At one point, I, my mom, and my infant brother moved into my recently deceased great-grandfather's house while we waited for our new house to be ready. My dad was not living with us at the time because of work. When we moved in, my grandfather warned us that the back bedroom closet door was extremely heavy and hard to open. so it might be best to put my brother in that room since he would not need to access it. So that's what my mom did. Everything was normal for the most part. There was this one spot on the ceiling in the kitchen that my dog would stare and bark at. But other than that, nothing creepy. As time went on, occasionally we would go into my brother's room and the closet door would be open. There was nothing kept in there, and I was only about 8, so there was no way I could have opened it by myself. Whenever this happened, my mom would just close the door and go about her day. This happened more and more frequently over the few months that we lived there. When we moved out, my grandfather finally started going through the rest of the house and getting rid of my great-grandfather's things. That's when it happened. In a different closet, in between some linens, he found $1,000 in cash and all of my great-grandfather's diamond jewelry. My mother and myself are convinced that it was my great-grandfather trying to tell us to check the closet to find his hidden treasure. Five or 6 months ago, me and a friend of mine went to a supposedly haunted barn at the edge of the city that we live in. We wanted to challenge ourselves, so we decided to sleep over there that night. At around 2:30 a.m., I had to pee, so I went to a room on the first floor of the barn since we had just put our stuff on the second floor. When I had finished, I went to climb the ladder that goes to the second floor, when I decided to stop and look out the window. That's when I heard it. I later found out that my friend also heard it. A female voice humming a calm melody coming from the room next to the entrance. I yelled to my friend that we had to get the hell out. I decided to just jump out of the window next to me. When I landed, I swear that I heard a scream from the forest across the property. I ran over to the road, and my friend followed. We stopped, got our breath back, and decided to wait till morning before we would go back to get our stuff. When we got back, we found that our stuff had been moved from where it stood when we left. Since that night, I have never been close to that barn ever again. I was in Las Vegas on a business trip 12 or so years ago. If you've ever stayed on the Strip in Vegas, the hotels are huge. Hallways are maze-like and long. For context, I'm a small lady, 5'2", and I weigh 130 pounds. At this time, I was in my early 30s. I left a meeting downstairs and was heading to my room. I pushed my floor when I got on the elevator and got off on my floor. Then I noticed there was a man walking towards me down one of the long halls. We passed each other, then out of the corner of my eye, I see him turn around. I take a right, he takes a right. I go left, he goes left. He is definitely following me. No one is with me on this trip, and I'm staying alone in my room. But he doesn't know that. I pick up my cell phone and I make a fake call. I called the movie line or weather service or something, so someone would be talking, but I could say what I needed to say. Loudly, I spoke into the phone. "Hi, babe. What are you doing?" "Oh, you're back in our room? You finished your workout super early. Okay. I'm almost to our room, so I'll be right there. Love you." The creepy guy following me turned around and headed the direction we had just come from. I breathed a sigh of relief. I made sure he was gone, went into my room as fast as humanly possible, and bolted the door. I never had any more issues, but I learned a new trick. So, creepy Vegas follower guy, let's not meet.